A man who knows just a little bit about what goes on inside the selection room later today, Greg Shaheen with us now, former NCAA tournament executive in charge of the process for 12 years' time. All right, you had three teams that you were really watching yesterday. You were watching St. Bonnie's, you were watching Georgia, and you were watching NC State. So once the three of them lost, at that point, was the field of 68 set?
Essentially so, because those were the three questions that the committee likely had yesterday afternoon. They needed to let those games play out. So by 5:30 last night, they were in position to really start tying down the field.
All right, so field tied down now. We have the whiteboard over here. We have props here this morning. So you can explain how the committee is going to rank the top four seeds in each region. Have at it.
Okay, so the committee will have the 68 teams, the 32 automatic qualifiers, the 36 at-larges. The second phase is seeding, and they'll basically have a list from 1 to 68. Here's 1 to 16, Joe Lenardi's latest list of the top quadrant of the tournament. And so now this is how this seed list translates into the bracket. We'll go in order and we'll do it geographically. So we have Florida. Florida is the overall number one. The closest region to them in terms of the four regions that we'll be looking at, they would be assigned to South. Memphis is closest for Florida, so Florida would be assigned to the South Regional, and Florida's the overall number one. Arizona still number two overall. They would go out west, Anaheim, to the Anaheim Regional, so we would put Arizona there. Wichita State, we have as the three. Remember, they're the regular season and conference champions as they go forward. So Indianapolis, the Midwest region, would be available to them. So Wichita State could go there. And then right now we have Michigan as the four, and of course they're playing Michigan State later today. But they did win the regular season by 2 games. So the only available slot now on the one line would be the East region. So we'll put Michigan here.
And that's, of course, the one seed that everyone has been talking about, that final one. So Michigan slots into that. And then you move on to the twos.
That's right. And so what happens now, in Joe's list, he has Villanova next. So Villanova, the next available site on the two lines, the closest region is the East. So even though they've slipped to number 2, Nova can still play on the East side. Next up, Duke. Duke, he has at the 6. 6, that's nearest site. It's the first team from the ACC. We have to separate the first teams from any conference. So Duke would be closest by about 100 miles to Indianapolis. So under this scenario, Duke would play in the Midwest region. So we would put them in here. Next up, we have Kansas. Now, here's where the committee would look at Kansas and Wisconsin. They have the South and the West region available. What they would likely do, I suspect, in this scenario, is put Kansas out west, because it's a shorter geography for Kansas to go west and for Wisconsin to go south. It accommodates both teams. So they would put Kansas out west, and they would put then they would put Wisconsin in the South. And now then what they'll do at this point, after going through 2 lines, they'll add the true seeds up. So they'll add 9, 9, 9, 9. And what that means in code is that it's perfectly balanced. In essence, you have the natural matchups for the first 2 lines with this configuration. The committee would then go forward through the rest of the 16, filling out the 3 and the 4 line, again separating teams from the same conference as they go forward. Then, once they get through the 4 line, they would start back up at the top and assign first week sites. Remember, these were regional sites, so they'll go back and do second and third round sites after they get that done.